Hi, Shell Point. I'm Laura Slack, Director of Resident Life, and I'm here with Dotty Morrison, and we're going to talk about a coffee with a neighbor that's coming up on November 15th, Friday, November 15th at 1:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. So Dotty, thanks so much for being here.
Yes.
And lots of people know you as a photographer at Shell Point. I mean, you've done such fabulous photography.
Thank you.
And you love wildlife and taking pictures of birds.
I do.
So tell us about what you're going to talk about in Coffee with a Neighbor.
Okay, so the title is 1,000 Birds and Counting, the Shell Point Connection. And this is about my story. It's not about 1,000 pictures of birds, so just get that out on the table right now. It's really how Shell Point was key to my becoming a birder and to my progress becoming more experienced, learning more about birds, enjoying birds. And one of the things I'm going to do is explain there are 4 factors that have made me the birder that I am. One, for example, is knowing experts. In 1993, my parents moved to Coquina, the Greenleys, Harold and Ruth Greenlee.
Wow.
My late husband and I came down to help them move in, and there were all these birds around. We'd kind of gotten interested a little bit in birds, but hadn't really made it a hobby. But we got one of those plastic bird things from Sanibel, and we walked around Shell Point, literally looking at birds, checking off the birds. We learned 24 birds in 10 days while we helped Mom and Dad move in. So being here at Shell Point started us out, and then the experts at the swimming pool, when I would visit, they would introduce me to people like the Rockstros. Helen Rockstro is still here. They would introduce me to other people that they knew were birders, so I learned experts who could teach me about the birds. And then I'm also going to talk, so that's one factor. There are 3 other factors. Another one is travel. Did you know that the first time I ever did international travel to do birding, I had won a cruise from Shell Point?
Wow.
Yep, I'll be talking about that. Some people might remember that. It happened in 2010.
Wow.
Okay, so it's also a chance for me to celebrate my 1,000th lifer, which I got this past June.
Well, now you have to tell us what a lifer means.
Okay.
What does lifer mean?
So if a birder is keeping track of birds that they have seen, anytime I see a new species, I write it down. I keep track of it, and I have various ways. I'll be explaining what ways I have to keep track of it, and the big question I get is, well, how do you know you've seen 1,000 birds? I know.
Wow.
And I'll explain all that. So my story is about how I became a birder, how I've progressed, and just sharing the adventure.
And what a lifer means. Wow. So how long have you been birding, and in how many countries have you birded? Is that the word?
That's the word. So 26 years since 1993, and I've birded in 14 countries, all of them North and South America and Europe. I still would like to get to Africa, Australia, I'd love to go, Asia, just haven't made it that far.
But I'm sure you will.
Hopefully,
Hopefully,
yeah.
So what else would our audience expect from this presentation?
Okay, so again, I'm going to talk about the 4 factors, and they are knowing experts, having the time, photography, and travel. And I'll explain how each one of those has made me the birder I am. I'm also going to talk a little bit about bird behavior. I'm not an expert on bird behavior, but there's some fascinating things about migratory patterns that affect what happens here in Florida every spring and fall. And so I'll be talking about that a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about how modern technology not only helps birders know where birds are, but also how modern technology with DNA testing is changing how we connect species. And even the names of species, even some of the Latin names of species are changing on a daily basis. It's kind of crazy when you're keeping track of a life list. Sometimes it's good for you and adds a bird on a life list, sometimes it doesn't. And then I'm just going to take you to some places I've been and also just show you how fun it is to be a birder.
That is, and I do some turtling on Cayo Costa, and sometimes I have shorebird biologists with me that are tracking the shorebirds on Cayo Costa and how they mate for life, and they keep coming back to the same island. So it's fascinating, fascinating.
It is.
Well, if this sounds as fascinating to you as it does me, please join us on November 15th. It is a Friday, November 15th at 1:30 in the Grand Cypress Room, and you're going to learn everything you needed to know probably about birds, and maybe you'll want to become a burger.
Who knows?
Who knows? So we'll see you there.